Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness, a daily podcast devoted to spirituality and self-help. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So I had a podcast listener, thank you Shauna, who reached out and asked if I could do a podcast about seasonal affectiveness disorder and depression that occurs during the winter months. And I thought, yeah, that would be a great podcast episode because honestly, I personally think that I suffer from this myself a little bit. And it touches on the area of depression, which so many people are experiencing right now with the changing energy. Anxiety and depression is so prevalent and becoming even more prevalent, especially in children. And so I thought this would be a great topic for today. So thank you, Shauna, for reaching out and asking me to cover this topic. And anytime any of you have topics that you would like for me to cover, absolutely reach out because I love getting feedback from my listeners. And obviously, I want to record a podcast that you actually want to listen to. So if there's a topic that is really near and dear to your heart and you haven't heard me do an episode about it, or maybe you have, but you want to dive deeper into it, don't hesitate to reach out and to contact me because I definitely love hearing from you all. I am not the kind of person who ignores emails or messages. I will respond to you. And if it is a great idea, I will also take that suggestion. So thank you again, and we're going to dive right in. So what is seasonal affectiveness, or it's actually seasonal affective disorder? The funny thing is the acronym for this is actually the word SAD, which makes sense. Seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression, so of course it makes you sad, and it's related to changes in the season. It usually begins and ends at about the same time every year. So usually the symptoms will start in the fall, and I have to admit, I'm one of those people who dread fall. And I have people all around me who are like, I love fall. I get to get out the pumpkins and all my fall decorations. It makes me sad to see people getting out fall decorations. And the reason is because I know that winter is right behind it. I don't particularly hate fall. I love all of the activities that have to do with fall, like Halloween and hot chocolate and cider. I love those things. And going to pumpkin farms with my kids, I love doing those things. But I didn't like fall because that's when the weather started to change. And that for me was depressing. I knew winter was behind it. If we could just have fall, it'd be okay, although it does get a little chilly here sometimes, even for me in the fall. But I love when weather is about in the upper 70s. That's perfect for me. And I know everyone will say, go to California. It's too expensive to live there. But the weather is great there. But here, I'm in Illinois, where the weather changes. We have all 4 seasons, and sometimes even in 1 week, we'll have 4 seasons. That's just how it gets sometimes here. But in the fall is when it starts to change. And so in probably September, we'll still have hot weather, but about the end of September, beginning of October, we start getting really cool weather and it gets rainy. And so for me, the sun is not always out. And that's when I start to feel this seasonal affective disorder. I start getting sad, especially because it gets darker earlier at night. Around here, it starts getting dark in the fall around 6, and then it becomes 5, and then it becomes 4. And so it's depressing to come home from work and have maybe a half hour to an hour of light, and then it gets dark. And luckily now it's starting to get lighter. But seasonal affective disorder happens for a couple of reasons. So I'm going to talk about that. And it's important that you really listen because you might be suffering from this, or you might be suffering just from actual depression. So how do you know this? We're going to talk about that now. So most of the time, again, the seasonal affective disorder tends to come on in the fall or early part of winter, and it usually ends in the spring days and the summer days. So the signs of this, of SAD, include feeling depressed most of the day, nearly every day, losing interest in activities that you once enjoyed, having very low energy, having problems sleeping, experiencing changes in your appetite or your weight, feeling sluggish or agitated, having difficulty concentrating, having feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, or having guilty feelings. And then having frequent thoughts of death or suicide can also be a part of it. Some of the onset symptoms of SAD may include oversleeping. You may have appetite changes, so you may crave foods that are very high in carbohydrates, so that may result in weight gain. And you may be very tired or have very low energy. And that's fall and winter seasonal affective disorder. There's also a spring and summer seasonal affective disorder. And so this depends on when it's occurring. Spring and summer one is less common, but it is actually a thing. And when you have spring and summer onset seasonal affective disorder, you may have trouble sleeping, so you may experience insomnia. You may have a poor appetite and have weight loss, or you may have anxiety or agitation. In some people, if you have bipolar disorder, spring and summer can bring on symptoms of mania and be less intense, like a less intense form of mania, and the fall and winter time can be a time of depression. So what causes SAD? Now that we know what the symptoms are and how you can sort of recognize that maybe you have seasonal affective disorder, what causes it? So one of the things that can cause it is your biological clock or your circadian rhythm. The reduced level of sunlight in the fall and winter is probably what causes the winter onset SAD. The decrease in sunlight may disrupt your body's internal clock and lead to feelings of depression because it's darker longer. The other thing that affects it is your serotonin levels. Serotonin is the chemical in the brain. It's a neurotransmitter that affects mood. And you may experience a drop in serotonin, and that is what brings on the SAD. Reduced sunlight is what causes a drop in serotonin, and that's what actually triggers the depression. The other thing that can cause the SAD is melatonin. The change in the season can disrupt the balance of the body's level of melatonin, which plays a role in sleep patterns and in mood. So if you experience a dip in melatonin, it can cause you to not be able to get a good night's sleep, and it can cause you to become agitated. Your mood can also be off. So what are the risk factors? How likely are you to have seasonal affective disorder? Well, it's diagnosed more often in women than men, and it occurs more frequently in younger adults than in older adults. Some of the factors may include a family history. So if you have people in your family who have seasonal affective disorder, you're more likely to experience it yourself. So if you have blood relatives who experience that or another form of depression, you may experience this more likely. Also, if you have major depression or bipolar disorder, if you have those two conditions, the symptoms of depression may worsen seasonally. Also, if you live far from the equator, SAD appears to be more common in adults and people who live far north or south of the equator. And this is probably due to the decreased sunlight during the winter and the longer days during the summer months. It's important that you take the signs and symptoms of seasonal affective disorder seriously because it can get worse and it can lead to problems if it's not treated. And the problems it can lead to are social withdrawal. So you may feel like you want to isolate yourself and not go out. And I always joke about this to other people. I will say, in the winter, I just want to hibernate. But honestly, I truly feel that way. In the wintertime, I feel like I want to stay in more because getting out involves getting out in the cold and the wind and the dreary day, and I hate that. And I don't know if I'm the only person who feels that way, but obviously I'm not if there's a whole disorder that relates to it. But I always felt that way. I always felt like in the wintertime, I just want to hibernate. I just want to go to bed, and I don't even want to get out of bed. So you may experience social withdrawal. You may experience school or work problems. So if your child has attendance issues in school because they just don't want to get up, they just don't want to get to school, it may be an actual thing. They may really be suffering from SAD. You may experience substance abuse, because when we have depression, sometimes the way that we tend to deal with that is by taking substances that make us forget about having the depression, which is only a short-term cover. It's not going to help your disorder at all. It's just masking the fact that you have it. It can also cause other mental health disorders like anxiety or eating disorders. And we talked about that because you just heard me say that some people tend to want to eat more carbohydrates during the winter months, and that causes weight gain. And people always joke about that we gain weight in the winter because of Thanksgiving and Christmas and because we're all wearing clothes that hide, our weight. But it actually is a thing. Studies have been shown that people tend to change their eating habits in the wintertime. I always used to joke that we're like animals that we're packing on the fat to keep us warm in the winter. But I actually think that it is triggered by the chemical imbalance that occurs, and it causes us to want to eat more carbs. And in other cases, some people eat less. They don't eat more, they eat less because of this. It can also cause suicidal thoughts and behavior. So it's extremely important for you to get this checked out if you think you have it, because it is a serious thing. And one of the things that might be affecting it, I think, could be climate change. We're seeing more things happen where our climate is beginning to change, and so it's hard to deal with that sometimes. If we're seeing darker days longer, that's affecting it. There are things you can do, though, to treat SAD. So I'm going to talk about that now, too, because I don't want you to feel like, oh, great, I have SAD and I don't know what to do about it. One of the things that really affects me and is part of a big reason why I don't like wintertime is that I also, on top of probably having a little bit of SAD, I also have Raynaud's disease. It's a rare disorder of the blood vessels, and some of you out there listening probably have it and don't know it, because if I had it, I didn't know what it was, and not until I mentioned it to a doctor. But what happens is the blood vessels in the fingers and toes, the cold causes the vessels to narrow, or if you're feeling stressed, it can cause this too. The blood vessels narrow, and then the blood can't get to the surface of the skin. And so for me, my fingers, usually from my middle finger to my little finger, they turn completely white from about midway to the tips, and they look like they're dead. If you've seen a dead body and how there's no blood in that body, that's what my fingers look like. And my toes do it too, and it's usually only the little toe or the next toe to it. And it's when I get cold. When I'm cold, my hands do that and my feet do that. And it feels like when your fingers fall asleep and they're starting to wake up and you have the pins and needles feeling, that's what it feels like. I have it. My grandma had it. And other people in my family have it too. And I didn't know what it was. I just noticed that my fingers looked like they were dead from about midway to the tips. And so I was talking to my doctor and I said, hey, I noticed this happening. And he said, oh yeah, you have Raynaud's syndrome. And he said, there's nothing you can do about it. And he explained what was happening, that the blood vessels were, he said, spasming, this says constricting, but the blood is not getting to the tips of your fingers or your toes. And so that it feels like they're going dead, literally. And in order for me to reverse it, what I have to do is warm them up. So I either have to run them under hot water or put them over heat, and that's what gets the blood circulating again. So if you're in a cold climate, you are more likely to develop this Raynaud's. It's also more common in women and people with a family history and those over the age of 30. So again, there's not really anything you can do to avoid it other than just not being in cold weather. And that's what he said. He's like, the only thing you can do is to wear gloves and not be in the cold weather. I'm like, oh, well, that's helpful since I live in a place with cold weather. Thank you for that. But also just keep your hands warm. So at the first signs that you're having this in your hands, rub them together and like blow on your hands with a hot breath out of your mouth, and that helps a little bit too. So that's another reason why I also find it difficult to be here in the winter time, is because not only do I have the seasonal affectiveness disorder, I also have the Raynaud's, and some of you out there may have it too, and you just didn't know what it was. I just explained it. You're welcome. Although there's nothing really you can do about it. But anyway, there are treatments for SAD though. There's not a lot you can do for Raynaud's, but you can do treatment for SAD. And one of those treatments is actually light therapy. There are lights that you can buy on Amazon, and I did my research, I looked online, and they are relatively cheap. You can buy one for $24 on Amazon, and it sort of looks like a little iPad, but it's a light, and you turn it on, and you sit in that light for 20 minutes, and it has a timer and everything, and you don't put it really close to you, but maybe a few feet away, and you sit with it on you. And the reviews were amazing. People were saying, this gave me so much energy and I felt so much better and I felt awake in the morning, to the point that I almost ordered it on the spot, but I thought, I'll wait a minute. But I'm thinking about getting one because that sounds like this would be really, really effective and helpful. So that's one very common way to combat the SAD, is to buy one of those. Just look up seasonal affective light, and it'll pop up. And on Amazon, it's one of the first one that shows up because it's the Amazon choice, and it's $24. And it got great reviews. It said it was sturdy and durable, and it worked really well. So that is one thing that you can do. Another thing you can do is to take some antidepressants. They will often prescribe Prozac, Celexa, Lexapro, Paxil, or Zoloft. I will tell you this, though. Medicine is great, but you really, really have to be thorough and follow up with the doctor when you do medicine. You can't just get on it and off it, and you have to be really observed well with that. So don't take that lightly. Of course, if you need to take medicines, of course do that, but always be careful and always under a doctor's close watch, because medicines, if they're not the right kind, they can cause you to feel worse instead of better. And you can't just get off of them because you kind of have to be weaned off of them. So really, really be careful when it comes to the medicine and make sure you're under a doctor's order. Another thing that you can do is psychotherapy. Psychotherapy, where, you're talking to someone, can actually help you. And you can use it along with the light if you want. So that's one thing that you can do. But there are also a lot of things you can do yourself. Meditation is especially helpful. Doing mindfulness meditation and envisioning yourself on a beach with the sun shining on you is helpful. But also vitamin D is what we get from the sunlight. So it is very possible that if you're experiencing SAD, you may be deficient in vitamin D. So start taking vitamin D. Now, you can get your vitamin D level checked at your doctor's. If your vitamin D level is normal, then that's not what's causing the seasonal affective disorder. However, for most women, vitamin D is low for us anyway, especially if we're not around the sun. And if you don't drink milk or eat green leafy vegetables, you can be deficient in that. So start taking vitamin D. And I've read a lot of research too that shows that vitamin D has been very helpful in combating COVID. So it's just a good vitamin to make sure that your body has enough of. And I eat a lot of spinach and kale, and I know you're all rolling your eyes like, what? But I really do. So I think that, my vitamin D levels are pretty good, and I take vitamin D too, but they haven't always been. So I know that part of that could be what was contributing. So make sure you're taking multivitamin and make sure you're taking vitamin D. Also, doing yoga, music therapy, art therapy, doing relaxation techniques, all of those things help combat SAD. I think probably if what you really do have, though, is SAD, it's important for you to spend some time outside when the sun is shining and to get exercise. Exercise is the big thing, because for me, personally, in the wintertime, I will find every excuse in the book not to work out because it's too cold. I don't want to change my clothes. I don't want to get up off the couch, and I have to make myself. And immediately when I get up and I make myself exercise, I feel better, because I think my serotonin levels are low. And so if you're exercising, that helps to produce more of the endorphins, which then help produce the serotonin. So it's going to increase all of that, and you're going to feel better. So make sure you exercise, even if you have to force yourself. Even if your exercise is you getting up and dancing, do it. If you like dancing, dance. It's a form of exercise. Nobody said exercise has to be you lifting weights. Not everybody likes that. Do what you really enjoy. If you enjoy going for a walk, go for a walk. If you enjoy dancing, dance. Zumba's great. I love it. But you don't even have to do that. You can just dance where you are and turn on happy music. You can go and do yoga. A lot of people love yoga. It's great. It relaxes you. Do a guided meditation where someone takes you to a tropical island. And if you can really visualize that and put yourself there, you will feel better. And also make sure that you're getting no more than 9 hours of sleep at night or during the day. Because when your sleep pattern is off, it affects everything. You can talk to your doctor if you think that you have SAD, and they can help you figure out the best possible treatment for you. But check out those lights. There are a lot of people saying that those are really helpful. And it's worth a shot because for $24, honestly, that's not very much money. If it's going to make a huge difference in your day, it's worth it, isn't it? I think so. So if you are feeling the symptoms here of seasonal affective disorder, don't just overlook it and go, yeah, it's just winter and I hate it. That's how I felt. Fall, I dread fall every year. I know it's followed by winter, and I'll look forward to Christmas, but once Christmas is over, I'm like, okay, the cold needs to go away now, and we need spring, and we need summer. But I know that that's part of it. I know I'm experiencing that, and I know it's because I am not in the sunshine. When the sun starts to come out, I feel so much better. For me, we have a break room at work where there's huge windows there, and sometimes the sunlight will come through even on a cold day, and you feel the warmth in that spot. I will go and stand where the sun is shining directly in the break room and just take in. It makes me feel better immediately to be in that sunshine. So for me, I know that I'm affected by this. I haven't done anything really about it until talking to you guys. I keep thinking I'm going to go get one of those lights, and I'll let you know how it works out because I really do think it'll help me, and it probably would be a big help for you too. But it's important to be aware and to stay on top of these things so that it doesn't become something more serious, because it can turn into a deeper depression. You can talk to your doctor about it, or even just take the simple steps that I talked about, taking some vitamin D, trying to stand in the sunshine when the sun is out, getting some exercise, doing a meditation, doing a visualization. In a lot of my guided meditations, one of the things that I do to really hook people into that meditation is I tell them to imagine that the sun is shining on their face and they feel the warmth of the sun. That actually helps them to feel better. So do that. Take those small steps and see if that's helping you. And if it does, you probably have seasonal affective disorder. And if you have Raynaud's, make sure you wear gloves when you go out and it's cold, because that's really the only thing that's going to protect you, is just to keep your hands warm. And if it's because of stress, stop whatever you're doing and take a deep breath and really just relax. Take a few deep breaths and come back to center and balance yourself and get out of that stressful energy. All right, guys. Well, that was a great episode. I hope it was informative for you. I pulled a card for you. Before I reveal the card, I want to make a few announcements. The first thing is I want to encourage you to follow me on social media, because I go live Mondays at 6:30 Central on Facebook, where I do a free card reading. And if you show up for the live, I'll pull a card especially for you. I also want to encourage you to think about working with me if you feel like you're stuck in any area of your life. I have so many ways you can work with me. You can either do my online course yourself, which are self-guided. I have one on self-love. So if you've been feeling like you're experiencing low self-esteem lately or low self-worth, this course is totally affordable. It's yours to keep forever, and it will give you the steps to build your self-love again, and you will feel so much better. And my Love Your Life course, also affordable, also online, takes you through the steps, a tool you can use every day to improve your life. So go check those two things out. You can also work with me directly, either through coaching or a Reiki session or past life regression. Just go to melissaoatman.com, and there you can book a session with me. You can purchase it online and then contact me and we'll schedule it. All of my sessions are done online through Zoom, so you never have to leave the comfort of your own home. Don't forget about my book, Beautifully Broken. It's still available on Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, Amazon, and also on Audible. And if you've read it and you like it, please leave me a review. That helps me. Amazon is all about the algorithm of reviews. So the more reviews you have that are positive, the more your book shows up in other people's searches and the better it is. So you're helping me to get my word out, and I appreciate you all for that. You can also do the same thing with this podcast. If you like it, please leave me a positive review. That helps others to find me. Thank you so much for those of you who do that. All right, guys. Well, the card I pulled for you today is from my Divine Whispers deck, and it's You Are a Manifesting Machine. Pay very close attention to your thoughts right now because you are a manifesting machine. Get in alignment with what you want. Be sure to set clear intentions about what you wish to receive and then focus on it with unwavering faith. Know that the universe is working on your behalf to bring you what is for your highest good. Take a little time each day to focus on the things you want. Feel how awesome it would be to have those things, and then send the universe a little gratitude. You will quickly begin to see your dreams take shape. Know that you are so worthy of it all. There are a few mantras that go with this card that you can say to yourself every day while manifesting. The first one is, I am deserving of all of my dreams, and I am manifesting them all right now. I know that what I seek is also seeking me. The universe is supporting my dreams right now. I am in complete alignment with my intentions. And the last one is, I trust that the universe is working behind the scenes on my behalf. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with me, as always. It is such an honor to be able to come to you every day. So thank you for following me and being a part of my tribe. I love you guys all so much. I am sending you so much love and light. I hope that you have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.